Thank you, Representative Boebert, and thank you, Chairman Perry, for organizing this, and I'm thankful to my colleagues who are here speaking about this ridiculous, ephemeral deal. And thank you to those of you who are here from the press and those back home who are watching. So, you know, I didn't vote for that last deal, okay? I didn't do it because there's 1.5 trillion, and I just said, you know, that's probably more than I can go. But I'll tell you what I see here in this deal is absolutely one of the biggest abominations since I've been in Washington, D.C. The original bill that passed out last month promised 2022 spending levels with a savings of about $131 billion and rescissions of almost $900 billion. Think about that. That's what the House passed out just a month ago. And you're asking the House now to do something different, completely different. The McCarthy-Biden plan nets only $9 billion in actual savings and $29 billion in rescissions. But even that $29 billion is false. Mm-hmm. It's false. The likelihood that the savings totally goes away, and the bill indicates that the $22 billion of the rescissions will be proposed, they're going to be used to get around the so-called spending caps. That's what's devised here in this plan. The McCarthy-Biden plan blows up the debt ceiling from the already outrageous national debt of $31.5 trillion to be more than $36 trillion by January 1st, 2025. But they couldn't even be honest about that because the McCarthy-Biden deal is designed to actually fool you. Instead of estimating the actual debt ceiling that will be imposed by that date, January 1st, 2025, they simply say that will be the date. There'll be an unlimited cap. There won't be a cap for 19 months of the Biden administration. And the Biden administration is probably the most profligate administration we've seen. And that's saying something. While the current growth rate of our national debt projects to slightly more than $4 trillion in new debt, I forecast for you now it's going to be closer to $5 trillion by the time we get there. Let's see here now. The original House bill included elimination of all the IRS funding for the new Stasi, the IRS agents, who will be a weaponized IRS force. Total savings would have been $71 billion. That was what passed out of the House, and no new agents to hassle Americans. The McCarthy-Biden proposal is to prevent hiring of the force next year, not permanently, for savings of roughly $2 billion. And Republicans will have to fight to prevent the hiring of the agents a year from now. But even that is disingenuous, isn't it? Because that $71 billion was pre-authorized. That was pre-authorized. So when you throw the $2 billion out, that doesn't mean that they can't hire agents this year. It just means that in the back end, they'll have $2 billion less than that $71 billion. The original House bill included rescissions of Green New Deal tax credits and subsidies, which largely benefit rich individuals and corporations. It's rumored that Bill Gates is one of the biggest recipients. And that original bill was going to give $200 billion in savings. But the McCarthy-Biden program continues the Green New Deal boondoggles. The House bill originally eliminated Biden's student loan forgiveness and restructuring plan for projected savings of more than $400 billion. The McCarthy-Biden plan? No. The spending levels frozen at 2022 rates in the original House legislation are modified up. It isn't the 2022 in this bill. It's between 22 and 23 numbers. And Republican members of Congress are told that we'll fight these issues. We'll fight them again next year. In the meantime, the McCarthy-Biden plan assures an increase in the national debt of at least $4 trillion. How come it is that Republican leaders always tell us, next year we'll fight hard? Next year we'll fight hard. We really mean it next year. In fairness, the McCarthy-Biden plan asserts something that they call administrative pay-go. It ostensibly requires bureaucrats to demonstrate how they're going to pay for new programs or increases in spending. Now that sounds good, right? Except Congress has had a similar program for many years without it slowing down spending a bit. And why is it? Because Congress waives pay-go provisions. Yes. Now here's the way the pay-go provisions are going to be waived here. This part, by the way, this program sunsets in a year. But this part, and this crazy, is that the director of OMB can waive the pay-go provisions whenever and for whatever reason. You know what? There's a reason that the Biden administration has no concern over this provision at all. because they control the OMB and the OMB director. And that unicorn, the admin pay-go, is where most of the McCarthy-Biden savings of $1 trillion is supposedly coming from. And since that is ephemeral at best, the McCarthy-Biden savings totally evaporates. Another point that the McCarthy-Biden coalition supports disincentivizes the commitment to pass 12 appropriation bills as promised in January. That automatically creates a continuing resolution with a 1% reduction. But since you're actually moving spending up, you're not really going to see a true savings there. But beyond that, they're going to wait before this gets imposed until 3 months into the next fiscal year. That is not what Representative Massey's plan really was. Right. And when Republican leaders put out their talking points, they said that the Democrats got nothing in this deal. The question is, what did Republicans get in this deal? As progressive Democrat Pramila Jayapal stated, it doesn't cut spending and doesn't reduce the deficit. So what did Republicans get? I can't answer that. McCarthy-Biden proposal doesn't stop or even slow down deficit spending. It doesn't reduce the angle of trajectory of our out of control growth of our nation's debt, and the McCarthy-Biden proposal doesn't bend the spending curve down. Instead, they put some curtains on a dilapidated budget house and hopes that that will dress it up enough so enough Republicans will vote for it so they don't feel too doggone bad when 150 Democrats vote for it. The McCarthy-Biden plan keeps us moving over the national debt cliff with the Republican leadership's mantra of, we'll fight it next year. I thought the last plan wasn't good enough. I had no idea that we would see a plan as ephemeral and as malodorous as this plan. I am going to vote no. I urge my colleagues to vote no.